Hey, what's going on, everyone? Hope everyone's week has been going well. In the Facebook Live today, what I wanted to focus on mainly was enhancing your energy. Enhancing your energy so that you can have enough energy to work out with a lot of intensity. Hotman, Harry, good to see you. Enhancing your energy so you can work out with a lot of intensity because oftentimes people have very low energy. Joe, good to see you. Very low energy, and this obviously hurts their workout intensity, and it also hurts their kind of like willingness to actually work out. Because if you feel really tired, it's just not pleasant to go to the gym, whether it's in the morning or especially like after a long day of work and you're trying to work out at night, for example. So we're going to go over there. And also just remember, a lot of times people have the misconception that working out gives you energy. Adrian, good to see you. I'll chat with you in a little bit. Working out gives you energy. But remember, working out is a physical activity that requires energy. So if you don't have that much energy to give, working out is just going to deplete it even more and put you more into like a adrenal fatigue state. We'll talk about exactly what that phrase means to be more specific. But I'm just using it to depict like a state of chronic fatigue. Because oftentimes people are like, oh, I'm tired, so I'm going to go work out and it's going to give me energy. And it kind of gives you like a placebo effect of a quick dopamine boost of energy, but it actually takes energy away from you. So if you keep working out in like a depleted or an energy negative state, you're going to run into adrenal fatigue issues or excessive cortisol. Then obviously your hormones are going to be out of balance, et cetera, et cetera. And you think this kind of like health promoting activity is good for you, but it's actually like a detriment basically for your health to work out in a depleted state. So that's like very important to take into consideration. So let's go over some things. I have some notes here just to make sure we can cover everything. So theme of the live today: you need energy to work out. Working out doesn't give you energy; it takes energy away from you. So you need to create a surplus of energy. And how do you go about actually doing that? So first and foremost, like what I do with clients, for example, you could just go off of Demer, good to see you from Croatia. Yep, Joe, good to see you. You could go off of obviously like how you feel. You know, if you feel like shit and you're tired, then you have your answer. But the problem these days is people are chronically fatigued for so long that they begin to perceive that as a new level of energy. And they might like if you ask them, are you good on energy? They might say, yeah, I'm feeling okay, because they've learned to perceive like an all-time new negative form of energy or low form of energy as high energy, where in reality it's just they're very tired and they've been that way for so long they don't know any better, and they habituated to that in terms of tricking themselves and perceiving that as high energy. So what I do with clients, for example, is I have them fill out like a pretty detailed HAQ, and it gives me like, for example, like I use this on a lot of live videos just as an example. It gives me basically their state of health overall, their digestive health, their hormonal health, their mental health, physical health, et cetera, et cetera. But one of the questionnaires on here, for instance, does give me like their adrenal score, you know? So in this case, this person's like chronically fatigued through the roof, okay? And usually what kind of goes hand in hand there is they had like prolonged anxiety, possibly anger issues as well, which is also energy exhausting. So it would give me like a good idea of like what we need to focus on, because if you have like a person that's very, very tired and you throw them into workouts, especially workouts that require like barbell back squats, barbell front squats, or barbell deadlifts that are already very, very taxing on the central nervous system, you're just driving this person more into the ground and into more pathology. You're not helping this person with their health at all. So in this case, like what needs to be done? So there's so much that could be done, but here's a general overview of how to regain your health, or how to regain your energy so that you have that energy to actually go and work out. So first and foremost, let's start with the very, very foundation, okay? And we're going to start with like how closely are your core values aligned with reality? Like, for example, like for me, one of my core values is to work 3 days a week. So that way I have like a lot of time to work out, continue education, which is like one thing I love the most, et cetera, et cetera. So for me, a misalignment would be like working 6 days a week, 10 hours a day. So there's one example of a misalignment. Because a lot of times those misalignments, in the sense that when you have to like wear masks, do things like you feel you don't want to do, are very exhausting on the central nervous system. Okay, and the more disconnect there is, or the more masks you have to wear, the more exhausting it is on your central nervous system. So you're already fighting like an uphill battle without correcting that, okay? And I know in society it's impossible to exist in society being completely mask free and completely your genuine self. But think about it, the less masks you have, the better. So one thing I would recommend is write down like a huge list of your core values, from things like, what kind of toothpaste do I like? Do I like organic food or conventionally farmed food? Do I like working with this type of personality or that type of personality? Robert, good to see you, etc., etc. Write down that long list. Maybe spend this weekend writing that out and see how closely it is aligned to reality. And the main thing is, guys, be honest with yourself, okay? Because a lot of people bullshit themselves, and they bullshit themselves into mental and physical pain all their life. And they kind of, it's just very, very sad to see those stories, okay? So in a sense, when there's a misalignment in one's core values, what ends up happening is it leads them into like various love-hate relationships in their life, which is extremely taxing on your energy, on your mental health, on your physical health, etc., etc. And a love-hate relationship is basically, it could take on many forms. One of them is, let's talk about the working space. Okay, working with a coworker you don't like, you find annoying, you find unreliable. Working with a boss, you don't like their management style or how they communicate with you, or maybe how they treated you when they're in a bad mood or stuff of that sort. This is all very, very taxing on your central nervous system. Yep. Yeah, it's the basics, man. Sergio, I'm telling you, people are focusing on this silly stuff like keto and this and that and energy drinks, and they really just need to master these basics and they can find their health again. It's so sad to see how people are approaching their health and wellness goals, going to Orange Theory, silly things like Orange Theory, where all they're doing is just breaking down their joints, etc., etc. High intensity workouts at Orange Theory for people that don't have the energy to actually do those workouts. It's a mess. So I'm hoping these messages actually get to at least one or two people, and I'll be happy even if it's that few. And the more the better, obviously. So love-hate relationships. Obviously, working with people you don't align with, for they're maybe not bad people. Don't get me wrong, they're not bad people, but there's just a misalignment between how you want to do the work, and no problem, Oscar, good to see you, how you want to do the work and how they want to do the work. And this kind of friction, especially when you're there 8 to 10 hours a day, 5 to 6 days a week, 5 to 6 days a week, it's exhausting, man. And especially, it's not only like 8 to 10 hours a day, because you're probably thinking about it on the way to work, kind of dreading it maybe. Then you're there 8 to 10 hours of the day, really exposed to that. Then you're thinking about it on the way back from work. So it's really like an all day, every day type of activity, okay, if you get that one wrong. And don't be surprised if your energy is super low, because being in that kind of environment is extremely taxing and exhausting. And even if you figure out a way to change your perception or change your communication style, maybe form nonviolent forms of communication, which for sure is way better than violent forms of communication. But at the end of the day, your unconscious being knows that there's a misalignment, and there'll always be that energy drag, okay? So that's important. Also, like another love-hate relationship could be an example of a very common one is, let's say you've been married for 10 years and you genuinely love that person initially, but just you drift apart sometimes, and it happens. It's not like they're bad. Tim, good to see you. It's not like Vince, good to see you. It's not like they're bad. It's not like you're bad. It's just like people diverge sometimes, and unfortunately it's how it happens, okay? Because people grow and they evolve, and then sometimes they evolve in the opposite directions. But you remain with this person, and that also causes an insidious stress, because in a sense you're once again wearing those masks. You're kind of being fake to yourself, and the more masks you wear, the more exhausting it is to your central nervous system at the cellular level. So obviously it's going to be like a huge drag to your energy, okay? And then usually, most always, you kind of combine that like work environment, love-hate relationship, plus the at-home environment for most people. And that's one of the biggest reasons of why they're so exhausted all the time. So ask yourself, is there a disconnect in any of those areas? How could I improve, et cetera, et cetera? And be open-minded. A lot of times, sometimes, like what some of my fat loss clients, I tell them, dude, you need to quit your job. There is no way you can be healthy working 50, 60 hours a week under like this type of toxic work environment. And we can do great damage control, but at the end of the day, if you want true healing, you have to leave that kind of like abusive environment. And that's just how it is. Yep, Richard, good. Richard, good to see you. And that's how it is, and sometimes you just have to be brave. And you have to know, you have to be confident, man. If you spent 8 hours a day looking for your dream job versus like 8 hours a day working not in your dream situation, you'll find something. Dude, you're not stupid, okay? You will find something. You found a way to succeed this far. If you just divert your energy to something that's better and more health conscious and more conducive for you, it will work for you, okay? Trust me, it will work for you. I remember in college when I was graduating, it was 2007. I forgot exactly, 2007 or 2008. I forgot exactly when I graduated. But it was the whole entire real estate mortgage collapse in the US. And basically the economy took a dump. And a lot of my friends were just happy to get a job, even if it's like a job that didn't match their core values, okay? But I knew, because I was training people already through college, I knew how exhausting and detrimental to your health it could be pursuing a path in life that's not aligned with your core values, because I trained people like after 20 or 30 years, seeing them after 20 or 30 years of doing that. And it was bad because they gained a lot of weight. They had a lot of health issues. Sure, they're like a director, like an executive at a company, but they're like on their second or third divorce. They have like serious gut issues. They're on like 3 or 4 different medications by the time they're 35 or 40. They're like obese. And I'm like, dude, I cannot do this. So I took the opposite route. And although the economy was shit, I just went and worked for myself, because I knew that type of path, at least for me, was a misalignment in core values. And I knew that would lead me down only a path of misery, obesity, and disease, because it's been proven to do that. It's been proven to do that. And step outside literally anywhere in America these days, literally anywhere in America, 9 out of 10 people you run into are full of obesity and disease, full of mental and physical pain, okay? And the biggest culprit is that misalignment in core values. I know this is usual, I'm assuming, but can I ask you a question, please? Not bad. Yes, Richard, actually, you're allowed to ask questions on these lives. Sometimes people ask a bunch of questions, sometimes they don't, but I just keep talking either way. So get those core values aligned. That's the best thing you can do for your energy, because you're actually going to be excited to get up and do those things because it's what you want to do, basically. And it's less stressful on your central nervous system, thus less energy draining, okay? All right, so love-hate relationship, story gap, we covered that, misalignment, that's a huge energy drain as well, et cetera, et cetera. So let's say you do have all that stuff aligned, which is rare, but let's say you do have all that stuff aligned. Occasionally with clients, I do find if they're really, how did you manage the masks? Yeah, Richard, for me, it was simple, because at the end of college, I was already basically training people for like 4 to 5 years, because I was a personal trainer, very part-time, maybe 10 hours a week, 15 hours a week throughout all of college. And I trained, obviously, people that could afford the training. So they're like directors and stuff of this sort. And obviously they're already, 35 or 40 at that age. And I already saw the repercussions of a lifestyle that doesn't match their core values and what it does to your health and well-being. So for me, it was like I had no choice. It's either pursue this path that for sure will guarantee obesity, disease, and misery, or, try something new, and it could fail too, but at least you can try something new and actually succeed, okay? Because this path right here, it's already proven to basically destroy a person's health. Where this path right here, it may or may not. I've definitely, to tell you the truth, I've definitely had adrenal exhaustion and all that stuff, even in the health field, which is the next topic I'm going to get to. Because sometimes when there's when a person is aligned with their core values, and a lot of times people bullshit them so much. I sometimes see people, they're like, oh yeah, I love my life, and they're they're obese, they're full of a bunch of disease, they have countless pharmaceuticals. The thing is, people have to understand that you can't become obese without having chronic inflammation. You can't have chronic inflammation without having a lot of mental and physical pain in your life. So sometimes when I see people like, oh yeah, my life is aligned, I'm like, okay, well, there's a very big disconnect and you're fairly delusional. So sometimes on rare occasions, without being rude, I have gone from 85K to 105 by eating. My eating has gone down so bad. Yeah, Richard, you just have to, for me, a lot of times what I see with clients, my clients in particular, people stress eat, but then you have to ask, why are you stress eating? Because there's obviously some kind of disconnect with your core values, and you don't feel safe, or not you necessarily, but a lot of my clients would, for example, not feel safe expressing who they are in the real world. Like, for example, you have a person that wants to be an artist, but they become a lawyer because they feel the world isn't going to reward them financially for being an artist for one reason or another. And because thus they don't feel safe expressing who they are in the real world, because they're like, the world's going to reject me. I'm not going to get paid. No one's going to buy my art. So I'm going to be homeless. I'm not going to have food, and I'm going to die on the street. So to protect my biological safety, I'm going to sacrifice my mental health, go into an occupation that has been paved, guarantees pay, guarantees employment, and I will be biologically safe. However, that is only short-term relief. What ends up happening is, because of all the stuff we talked about just now, is it creates that insidious stress in the body, because at the end of the day, you're being fake to yourself. And you can't escape that. So wherever you go, there you are, unfortunately and fortunately. And your body could only take that for so long. And obviously, your body can only, all I do is eat. Okay, yeah. So your body could only take that so long. And what happens is a person seeks out food for comfort, because food, what does it do? It offers you unconditional love, which you're not going to get in the real world, basically. The real world is very conditional. You got to show up to work on time. You got to do your projects on time with the right amount of quality, et cetera, or you don't get paid, you don't get appreciated, you disappear in society. And remember, guys, the biggest fear one has is actually not death, but the fear of not being loved and being invisible, ignored, a nobody. That's people's like biggest fear, okay? So they'll desperately try to wear as many masks as possible to fit into society, to be the good boy and good little girl, to be able to be accepted. I wish I could show you how I can send you a pic, nothing rude like that. Yeah, Richard, just send me a personal message after the chat, and we can chat there, okay? No big deal. Just send me a personal message after the chat, after the live, and then we'll go from there, okay? But yeah, so going back to enhancing the energy. So that right there, that base is important. If you don't get that one right, guys, you'll always have like energy leaks, energy issues, because it's just too taxing and too energy consuming to exist in the world that way. So yeah, there's that. So I went on a tangent. Sometimes you do have alignment of core values, but you don't manage your energy well, okay? So for example, like, 100-mile drive that you do enjoy versus a 100-mile drive that you don't enjoy, there's still an equal amount of basically wear and tear on the car, let's just say. Of course, if you're not enjoying the ride, you could be slamming on the pedal more and depleting your gas more, et cetera, but there's still like the wear and tear on the tires, the spokes, et cetera. So you still need time to rest, and you still need time to recuperate, even if what you're doing is what you genuinely love, and what you're doing just day to day is what you genuinely enjoy and what is reflective of your core values, okay? So then in that case, you need to work on some other basic stuff. So for example, like if you're tired, if you feel tired, like I felt pretty tired 2 or 3 days ago. So instead of having a cup of coffee and kind of grinding it out, like when your body is tired, it's its way of telling you you need to rest and not have more coffee, okay? Not have an energy drink. You need to actually rest. So next time you're tired, just take like a 20, 30-minute nap, okay? Now, if this becomes a persistent issue, then you have to look a little bit deeper on it in terms of how you're managing your schedule, how you're managing your energy throughout that schedule, your diet, et cetera, et cetera. But if it's from time to time, you know what, you feel drowsy in the middle of the day, dude, just go to sleep. Take a nap. Don't grind it out. Don't muster through it. That's the best way to age yourself as fast as you can. And then on top of that, not feel too great and not have that energy to work out, okay? And having said that, I mean, on the topic of coffee, have you noticed that ironically, people that drink a lot of coffee are always chronically tired, which is kind of like almost comical because coffee is advertised as an energy drink, but yet people that constantly drink coffee are always chronically tired. Like, what's the deal, okay? That's because you can't run on negative energy, and all coffee does is cause you to run on that negative energy. And eventually, not even a long way down the line, short term, it does always catch up to you and it causes that chronic fatigue and you need more coffee, but then that only continues so long, then you're in a deeper state of fatigue, then your workouts suck, your chances of injury increase. Cortisol is obviously through the roof in that case, you know, and then eventually that shuts down. Then you have adrenal fatigue where you feel super tired and zombie-like, et cetera, et cetera. So not a lot of good stuff happens, okay? So typically I still drink coffee. I'm not bagging on coffee, but coffee is mainly for people that already have good energy. Like I drink coffee maybe twice a week, usually, actually more like once a week, and usually before leg workouts or something like that, okay? Just because they tend to be a bit tougher for me personally. Another thing you can do is regular sleeping habits, okay? Remember, your body repairs itself 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. So it basically repairs itself physically from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. and then mentally from 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. So make sure you're really optimizing that sleeping schedule and not that bogus optimization where like on paper, you're like, oh yeah, I'm sleeping between those hours. Then I look at your sleeping log. It's like, yeah, you're sleeping, you know, at 10 p.m. 2 of the days, but then a couple of the days you went to sleep at midnight, one at 11, one at 10:30, et cetera, et cetera. So you don't want that kind of sporadic sleeping schedule. You want to be very like regimented and strict and have a good bedtime ritual. And ideally, like I love having a morning ritual as well. So upon going to sleep and waking up, that's just going to help you with your energy levels as well, okay? So some other things from a physiological perspective. I mean, obviously, Lisa, good to see you. Obviously, having a good periodized program, also just having good posture. Because having bad posture, like for instance, upper cross syndrome or lower cross syndrome or excessive like military neck or any kind of posture that causes your spine to deviate abnormally from its natural curvatures, forgot to turn off my notifications, from its natural curvatures is going to constantly put that strain on your musculature, you know, like having those tight muscles. And that's always going to kind of like tension you up, and that tension is going to be energy draining as well. So you would need to correct, you know, that upper cross syndrome by stretching what is short and tight and then strengthening what is weak and long, for example. Yeah, Richard, I'll chat with you right after the call sometime, okay? So that's another huge plus that you can do. So let me see if I covered everything. Okay, cool. So it looks like I covered a lot of things on how to enhance your energy so you have the energy to work out, because it's very important, okay? Don't get stuck in one of these symptom management, drinking coffee all day, every day, because you'll just end up like the general population, which does that. And the general population, I mean, it's full of obesity, sickness, and disease. Do not follow in their path, because you will also be obese, sick, and full of disease if you follow their path, obviously. So having said that, I do have some cool books that I would recommend for you guys. So I have like a quick reading list. I have some new ones and some old ones. I'm a huge fan of Walensky's work. Stefan Walensky, Quantum Psychology, very awesome material, okay? This is also kind of like an entertaining read. He does like a lot of really good podcasts as well. Civilized to Death by Chris Ryan, great read. I bought this book as well, and kind of like always learning about agriculture to enhance my understanding of food quality, etc. So arbuscular mycorrhizal fungi, which is very important for just any kind of crop growth, most crop growth basically. And I bought this really cool book. Also, if you guys are into really cool pictures and everything, so the universe, I like studying astronomy just as a hobby, and it has like a lot of really cool pictures and designs. So I just like working at it and kind of studying astronomy here and there just as a hobby, nothing seriously. It's a very humbling field, because then you quickly realize how insignificant you are in the world. And like as Carl Sagan would say, if the world blew up and disappeared today, the universe wouldn't even notice. So there's that. And then also my book, Anti-Factory Farm Shopping Guide, which I'm really proud of. It comes with about like 2 hours or so of video tutorials as well on how to shop for high quality food at your local supermarket, at your local farmer, etc., etc. A lot of misperception when it comes to this guy. I try to do a good job with the illustrations, so it's very easy to read. I made it small so you can carry it to your supermarket or your farmer's market, wherever you go. And that's it, guys. So I hope everyone's doing well, and I'll chat with you guys soon. Take care.